Oh boy, that's hot. Well, hello, and a very warm welcome back to another week on my allotment. Stunning sunrise. Strange how some mornings the sun comes up glowing orange and all hues of pink, and today it's come up just white. But it's always a pleasure to see. Sunrise is my moment, because there's no one else daft enough to be up here at this time. So, what an epic week on the plot. Weather. I didn't think it could get any worse, and then it did. We have had epic rain. On Wednesday, up the Bigswear estate, I got caught a couple of 100 metres away from my van when a hailstorm hit. I just dropped the machine and ran for the van, got in the van. I thought the hailstones were going to implode the windscreen. It was thunderous. Then, was it Thursday or Friday, we had another storm. The ropes are back on the cover between the two sheds. Really strong winds, and throughout it all it has not stopped raining. However, I'm happy to report that my plot is now completely surrounded 100% by a ditch, and the rain did not get through the ditch. It was flowing either side of the plot, but the only rain that fell on my plot, or the only water that got onto my plot, was the rain that fell. So it's been a lot of work, a lot of digging with my spade. Yeah, I'm reaping the rewards. I mean, the plot is still waterlogged, but it's not flooded. You know, in previous months, previous years, I've had standing water all down this end. I wouldn't be able to stand where I am now. But anyway, the forecast right up to the middle of April is the same. As this is the last dry day. Today is Saturday, unusually. Today is the last dry day in the forecast for the next 2 weeks. So there's no end in sight. But enough of the weather. It's quite a significant day. I'm going to show you in a moment what I'm bringing from the greenhouse to the plot. I'm not sure I'll put them in the ground. I'm a bit apprehensive about putting stuff in the ground at the moment when it just floods every other day. Anyway, we'll see. And I have been busy on the plot. I'll show you around. There's not a lot to actually see, but it did involve a lot of physical work. So cheers, you're very welcome. Let's have a look at what I've been busy doing. So nice to see the sun at last. Well, I think I've explained before that these two beds here are going to be growing my pumpkins and or butternuts this year, and I've put a heavy mulch of cow muck under the plastic, and I'm going to grow the pumpkins along this exposed earth strip. I've got the same here. And what I did this week is, where those 4 canes are, and there's 5 on the one I've just shown you, I dug out a good hollow of soil and backfilled it with that allotment compost that I've been making, and then I put the soil back and raked it over, and then I marked each spot that I did it with a bamboo cane. So obviously you've now worked it out that when I haven't even sown the seeds yet, but when the pumpkins are ready, they will be planted where those canes are, because they mark the spot with the prepared compost, and hopefully that will give them just that little bit of extra moisture and feed to grow healthy, strong plants and lots of pumpkins. So like I say, there's nothing to see, but I know that underneath those canes is a good amount of really good allotment compost. And as an extension of that same principle, this frame here is where I'm growing my purple snap pea magnolia, and I dug out a good spit deep, and dug a trench here and backfilled with more of that allotment compost. I've now completely emptied that bay, but that will really feed the peas and I might plant them today, I think, because this bed doesn't get waterlogged because of the ditch around it. So yeah, I brought the peas with me and I think they can go in today. It's lovely to see the rhubarb looking so healthy. I mean, one of the benefits of all this rain is we don't get frosts, so they're not being scorched and burnt by cold temperatures. I mean, that can change, of course, but right now they couldn't look healthier. I think I'll be taking some more of that home tonight to go in the freezer. Okay, so what I have here is my first sowing of carrots, and all the carrots I'm sowing now are the carrot fly resistant ones, fly away. I have to say they weren't that resistant last year, and having these tubs at height made no difference. That's a complete myth about them flying low. They'll go to whatever height your carrots are, is my experience. Anyway, the way I sow my carrots is in the conventional manner: a light, very light broadcast of carrot seeds. Then I use my sieve to put sieved light soil over the top, barely covering them. But then the key is I cover them, in this case, with cardboard and then this shower screen over the top. And I cover them for 7 days. I think the main principle of that is that it keeps the heavy rain off the seedlings and doesn't form a crust over the top of them and allows them the chance to get going. So it's 7 days since I covered them, so I'm going to uncover them now. I won't expect to see any seedlings. It'll take another few days, but they don't need light to germinate, so who knows? Yeah, I can't see any seedlings, but I'm fairly confident that this will work. It's worked for me in the past, and today I'm going to sow another 2 tubs, use the same stuff and do exactly the same, and that way I'll get a successional sowing over the next few weeks, and then the carrots will germinate and grow accordingly, hopefully. My little modest display of tulips by the tool shed is coming on a treat. Absolutely loving it, and it can only get better. Well, I showed you my ditch across the back last week, and this week I have resolved the issue of this ditch running across the path at the back of my plot between me and my neighbour. And this is what I've done. You can see down here there's a piece of gutter downpipe running underneath, so that any water in that ditch comes down here through the gutter into this ditch and away. But on the surface I've laid this piece of normal U-shaped guttering, and I don't know if you can see, there's a lot of surface water up here sloshing about in it at the moment, and that surface water runs down along the top of this path. So what I've done is I've laid this U-shaped guttering in. I don't know if you can pick it out, but it's dripping now, and it hasn't rained all evening or all night. So that's just picking up the surface water, and it's all helping to keep water off the plot. And the worst that's going to happen there is somebody's not going to be paying attention and they'll put that foot in the guttering, but it's well supported underneath, so no harm can come. And nobody walks around here anyway, really, to be honest, except when we can park at the back, my family, and I don't mind if they trip up. I'm joking. Right, let's have a look at some parsnips. Right, well, these 4 tubs at the back, they were parsnips last year, and I'm going to grow parsnips this year. I'm going to just take the risk. I don't think crop rotation is quite the issue everyone makes it out to be, but we'll see. Charles Dowding, who I follow very enthusiastically, he's grown some crops in the same spot for up to 8 years, and he says, you know, this thing about diseases harbouring in the ground for many crops is not true. Anyway, the way I do my parsnips, same as the carrots, I have a particular method that just works for me. It may or may not work for you. You may already be doing it. But 2 weeks ago I put this Tupperware box in my airing cupboard at home, and I don't know if that will pick it up, but many of them have sprouted. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to dig off the surface soil about ½ an inch, pop it in this sieve, put these on the soil. I don't have a particular way to do it, I just lay them flat. You know, the roots and the leaves will find their own way, and put the sieved soil over the top. But I watch a chap called Mal, who's got a very good channel, the Veg Plot Man, and he does a different method. So I thought, well, give it a go and see how it works for me. And he lays his parsnip seed on the surface of soil in a seed tray, and then puts it in an old compost bag and sticks it in the greenhouse on a shelf out the way for a week, and I'm guessing it does the same thing. I haven't looked. Right. Yeah, some of them have done exactly the same. You've got the little leader root coming off, and I guess what I'll do with that is the same as I do with the Tupperware. I'll just pick them out and put them on the soil and put sieve soil over the top, and they're on their own. But it does show you that, you know, you're only planting germinated seed, so seed that is viable if you use either of these methods. Right, let's get them in the soil. Well, I think the camera will just about pick those out. You can see the little white tail coming off each seed, which will eventually become the root, and they'll find their own way down. They're well spaced out, so I don't have to thin them out. And any that don't germinate, once the top growth comes through and I can see where the gaps are, I will infill with more. Successional sowing is the key. the sun is shining, the sky is a beautiful blue, not a cloud to spoil the view. Sounds like a song. Something a little bit different this week. I have a book recommendation for you, and you can take it or leave it. One of the best books I've ever read, by a long chalk, sits alongside How Not to Die by Michael Greger. Turtles All the Way Down, Vaccine, Science and Myth. Now, I'm not going to talk about the contents of the book because this platform probably won't allow it, which tells you something in its own right. However, the thing that fascinated me, and I can't remember how I came across the book, it was the title, Turtles All the Way Down. What the hell does that mean? Anyway, of course, in the book, in the introduction, they tell you. And apparently it's an infamous story in the science sphere of a scientist who was giving a lecture about cosmology, the Earth, in relation to the planets and our galaxy, etc. And he was explaining to the audience how the Earth rotates around the sun and the different revolutions, etc. Anyway, it was a very well received lecture, and after the lecture, this elderly lady came up to him and complimented him on the lecture, but said everything he said was wrong, and she had a better theory. So of course he asked her what that was, and she told him that the Earth is a flat disc, and it is held upon 4 giant elephants. At that point he should have picked up his stuff and walked out. However, and he said, well, what supports the elephants? And she said, it's a giant turtle. And he said, well, what supports that turtle? She said, another turtle. And she said, sir, it's turtles all the way down. And that is where the story comes from, turtles all the way down. Well, what relevance is that to the book? Well, I'll let you find out for yourself if you're interested. And if you have young children or you have young grandchildren and the issue of vaccines and their safety, etc., vexes you in any way, read that book. I'll say no more on it. You won't be surprised to hear what the outcome of the book is, but it's fascinating that the 2 authors of the book are from Israel, but they have remained anonymous. And the reason they've remained anonymous is it's well known through the science world. If somebody wants to discredit an argument and they can't, what they do is they go after the people who are putting forward that point of view. And so by staying anonymous, they have denied the pharmaceutical industry and the media the opportunity to discredit the book by discrediting the authors. The book is incredibly well referenced. It is based only on the very best science, and it's referenced all the way through for those who want to check up on it and do their own research. And another scientist has offered a reward for anybody that can prove anything in this book incorrect. And to date, nobody has taken up that challenge. So that tells you where the credibility of this book lies. If you're interested, buy it. It's on Amazon. You will not regret it. It's a fascinating read, and it will open up the story of polio. You know, we know what the narrative is. Polio was a terrible, paralysing disease, but thankfully along came the vaccine, and now we're okay. And the polio vaccine is held up as this triumph of science. When you read the actual truth, it's incredible. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I'll say no more. Turtles All the Way Down, Vaccine, Science and Myth. You will not regret reading it. Unless you've had all the vaccines. While I was sowing those carrots, I glanced across at this cherry that I'm fan training, and lo and behold, look at that blossom. Obviously not fully out yet. What a thrill. It's these little moments, these observations that really do just add to the fun and the joy of having an allotment or a kitchen garden. Just something as simple as a small fruit tree. Stunning. Can't wait for that to all come out. another good day. Up here very early, and it's only early afternoon, but there's nothing more I can do up here. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. The weather's been glorious. Because it's Saturday, John's here, so I've had some company. Nobody else on the site, and I feel like I've achieved a lot. Sometimes you get up here and you think, what have I done? But today I feel like I've made a difference. Nice to get the first peas in. I'm leaving the others another week, I think. I've sowed some more carrots. You saw me doing the parsnips, so that's a start. I'll go home now and chit some more. Yeah, a real good difference. But the rain comes back tomorrow. In fact, the rain comes back this afternoon, and then it's wet all week, so we'll see. But yeah, spring is here, even though it's going to be wet for another good couple of weeks at least. And everything is concentrated at home, really. Lots of seed sowing, lots of pricking out, potting on. Just need the ground to dry up. Anyway, I'll probably be back next weekend. I don't think we're doing anything significant next weekend. So I look forward to seeing you then. Whatever you're doing this week, have a good week. Try and stay dry. Get out in your gardens, even if it's raining, and enjoy it. So look after yourselves. Take care. Bye for now.